My husband was always kind to everyone. He treated people with respect and warmth, no matter who they were. My parents liked him a lot, and they often said I was lucky to have him. I also have a sister. She's always been very focused on her career and didn't have much time for family or social events. Even though she was busy most of the time, my husband and she got along well. They would talk whenever they got a chance, and things always seemed normal between them. But over the past few months, my husband's work started getting really busy. He began coming home later and even worked on his days off. He said he was leading a team at work and they needed him all the time. He was always checking his phone, saying it was important for his job. Thinking back now, maybe some people might have seen something strange in his behavior. But I didn't. I honestly thought he was just stressed and tired. All I cared about was his health and hoping he wasn't overworking himself. Around that time, my sister got a new job and needed to move into a new apartment. She wanted to buy furniture and get her place set up. Since she doesn't have a car, I told her I'd take her shopping. We planned to go on a Sunday, which was her only free day. But that morning, my boss called and asked me to come into work for an emergency. I didn't want to cancel on my sister, but I didn't have any other choice. As I stood there trying to find a solution, I remembered my husband had the day off. Even though he had been super busy lately, I thought maybe he could help. I asked him if he'd mind taking my sister furniture shopping. He said, "It might be a little awkward, just the two of us, but it's fine." Then he added, "My car is in the shop, so can I take yours?" I was relieved he agreed. I handed him my keys, thanked him, and left for work. It was the first time they were out alone together, and I was curious how the day was going. I hoped they found the furniture she wanted. When I finished work that evening, it was already dark. I pulled out my phone to text them and suggest having dinner together. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered, "Hello? Am I speaking to Adam's family?" a man asked. "Yes, I'm his wife," I replied. "This is the police," he said. "Your husband has been in an accident. He and a woman who was with him are both unconscious." My heart sank. I don't remember everything that happened right after the call, but I remember rushing to the hospital as fast as I could. My heart was pounding. When I got there, I gave my name at the emergency desk, and the staff quickly led me to the ICU. Through the glass window, I saw my husband. He was lying in a hospital bed, covered in bandages, and connected to tubes and machines. It was one of the scariest sights I had ever seen. I felt a deep worry take over me. Soon after, my mother arrived from out of town. She came as quickly as she could, and we both stayed at the hospital that night, sitting side by side in silence, afraid and unsure of what would happen. Later, the police came to talk to us. They explained the details of the accident. My husband, Adam, had been driving on a quiet road when another car ran a red light and slammed into him. The crash was serious. The other driver was also badly injured and had been brought to the same hospital. The other driver told the police that something seemed strange about my husband's car before the crash. It looked like it wasn't moving normally, almost like it was acting strange. The police were investigating if my husband had possibly fallen asleep while driving, or if something else had gone wrong with the car. A few days later, both my husband and my sister, who had also been in the car, finally woke up. The doctors ran many tests. After some time, they told my mother and me that although they were alive, both of them might suffer from some long-term health problems. They didn't think either of them would fully recover. That news hit us hard, but we were still grateful that they had survived. We didn't tell them about the possible disabilities right away. We just tried to keep them happy and focused on healing. My mother cared for my sister, while I stayed by my husband's side every day. At first, he was very quiet and in shock. He felt guilty and kept saying he was sorry for the trouble he had caused. But after a while, his mood began to change. He became frustrated and angry, especially when his leg wouldn't move properly. He didn't like the hospital treatments and hated that he had to leave his job. It was hard to watch him struggle with everything. Still, I visited him every day. I knew he needed me. Then one day, a police detective came to speak with me. He had found out something new about the accident. The problem wasn't my husband. It turned out there was a leak in the brake fluid of our car, which might have caused the car to stop working properly before the crash. Later, the woman who had hit our car was still in bad shape too. Her mother came to visit us at the hospital and said she was very sorry for what had happened. It was the first time we had heard from her. After I met her, everything started to go downhill. My husband became even angrier with me. He seemed upset that I could walk around freely while he was stuck in the hospital bed. He didn't like that I wasn't there with him all the time. But I had work, and I couldn't just stay in the hospital day and night. He began acting differently. He started telling me what to do like he was in charge of everything. If I didn't do exactly what he wanted, he'd get mad. Sometimes he would even throw things out of frustration. He constantly complained about the hospital room, the food, the noise, and even when I went out to buy lunch for myself. It didn't matter what I did, he always found something wrong. The more time passed, the more demanding he became. I felt sorry for him. I really did. He was in pain, and I understood he was scared and angry about his condition. But at the same time, I was also under a lot of pressure. I was working hard to support both of us. On top of that, I had to talk to the police, deal with hospital paperwork, and handle all the daily responsibilities by myself. I was completely exhausted and barely had time to sleep. It wasn't just me who felt overwhelmed. My sister looked stressed too, and my mother was constantly tired. I later heard from someone at the hospital that my sister had been giving my mom more and more work, even though mom wasn't feeling well and didn't have a job. Every time I couldn't be at the hospital, things seemed to get worse between them. Then one day, both my husband and sister got news from the doctors. Even after therapy, they might not fully recover. There was a chance they could be paralyzed for life. I was already feeling heartbroken about that. But then my sister turned to me and said something that completely shocked me. She said, "I heard your car was leaking brake fluid. That was your job to check, because you didn't take care of the car. I can't work anymore or even heal properly. Mom is so upset. And look at your husband. He's in terrible shape. This is all your fault. Now you have to take care of us for the rest of your life." Her words hit me like a slap. I didn't know what to say. I felt blamed, alone, and helpless. I called my mom, hoping for support. She quietly told me that my sister had been struggling with her mental health for a long time, and that she herself was too tired to keep going to the hospital. Still worried, I went to see my husband before visiting hours ended. He was in the common room with my sister. The room was almost empty. He looked right at me and said coldly, "If you had just taken the car for inspection, none of this would have happened." I stood there, speechless. I didn't know how much more I could take. I've been married to my kind and caring husband for 2 years. We lived happily together and were very close. We had many dreams for the future, including having children someday. Life felt calm and safe, until everything changed. One day, something unexpected happened. My sister, who had also been in the accident with my husband, looked at me with a serious face and said, "You're the reason we're in this mess. The insurance will pay for some of it, but you'll have to take care of us for the rest of your life. Don't forget that." Hearing those words made something break inside me. I couldn't believe what she had just said. My mind was spinning. I looked at both of them and asked, "Since when have you become so close to my sister?" "What do you mean?" my husband asked back, pretending to be confused. "You don't even visit her often. And now, suddenly, she's staying here with us? Your mom said it was fine because neither of you can walk or leave the house, but that doesn't explain why you two are acting like a team," I said. My husband didn't answer me. My sister just stared at the floor, but she nodded when my husband said she'd be taken care of for the rest of their lives. It felt like they were both blaming me for everything. I was tired, stressed, and doing my best to hold things together. And now they expected me to take care of them forever without even asking how I was feeling? Trying to keep calm, I said sarcastically, "You two hadn't even spoken much before the accident? Now you're like best friends?" My husband ignored that and went back to his complaints. My sister stayed silent, agreeing with him on everything. I didn't expect them to give me real answers anymore, but I kept asking questions, hoping they would understand how hurt and confused I felt. Then I said, "I wonder if the woman who hit your car is recovering." "How should I know?" my sister snapped. "She ran a red light. That's all we know." It's unbelievable. Yes, I replied. It was a terrifying accident. But we need to focus on healing instead of just pointing fingers. We'll need to file for compensation if that's what's necessary. My sister rolled her eyes. I was about to get a promotion before this happened, she said, sounding angry. This ruined everything. I took a deep breath. I had been holding something in for a while, but now I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. There's something I need to tell you, I said. Before the accident, I took the car for an inspection. They both looked surprised. Really? My husband asked. Yes. If the brakes were leaking oil, the car dealer should be held responsible. They should have found the problem. I didn't want to fight, but the truth had to come out. I was tired of carrying the blame alone. I know, right? So let me explain what happened after the accident. Right after the crash, the police called me. They said they needed to investigate what caused the accident. They asked if I had a drive recorder in my car. I told them yes, but it was an old one. That old camera didn't record sound, and it only started recording after an accident happened. So, in short, it wasn't very helpful. My sister nodded like she understood, but then I added, Actually, you didn't know. I recently got a new drive recorder. Her eyes widened in shock. What? Yes, I said calmly. Not only that, but I also installed a camera inside the car. Her face turned pale instantly. You know, I continued, these new drive recorders start recording even if the car just shakes a little. That means it doesn't miss much. The police already contacted me. They checked the video. Now, my husband looked confused, but my sister looked like she was about to faint. I looked at her and asked, You were up to something, weren't you? She stammered. What do you mean? Did you do something to the car? I asked sharply. Then I turned to my husband. And why do you talk to my sister like she's your girlfriend? He didn't say a word. Earlier, I had told them that the camera starts recording with even a small movement. So, as you can guess, many private moments inside the car were recorded, moments I never expected to see. The police even asked me, a bit awkwardly, if the woman in the car with my husband was my sister. That's how I found out. My face turned red with embarrassment, but my husband's face turned white with guilt. So, the two of you have been having an affair this whole time? I said, my voice shaking. I had no idea. I truly believed. Both of you. My husband panicked and suddenly tried to blame my sister. Rachel isn't the only one responsible, he said quickly. Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was the mother of the woman who had crashed into my car. I had asked her to come to the hospital. I looked at my sister and asked, Don't you have anything to say to her? My sister stared at the woman, shocked. Who is this? She asked. She's the mother of the woman who hit your car, I said calmly. She's the one who should be paying for everything. Her daughter made a mistake. But you, both of you, have been hiding something even worse. The woman stood quietly, tears in her eyes. My husband looked away, suddenly silent. She's the mother of Helen, I added softly. The woman who caused the accident, and the woman your lies nearly turned into a villain. Now the truth was out, and they had nothing left to hide behind. I'm sure you already know who she is. When I said her name, my husband's face turned completely pale and my sister started to panic. What? What's going on? My sister stammered. Do you know the woman who was driving the car? So she knew it was your car and still crashed into it? Who is she? My husband didn't say a word. He looked like he didn't know how to explain anything. So I decided to speak instead. She was having an affair with Adam, I said, looking directly at my sister. He promised her he'd divorce me, but he never did. Then she said she was pregnant, and Adam told her to get an abortion. After that, he stopped talking to her. She couldn't reach him. She was angry and wanted revenge, but not on him. On me. My sister gasped. Wait. Does that mean we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time? She said, groaning in disbelief. I can't believe I let this destroy my life. I looked at her and replied calmly but firmly, The truth is, no matter how upset you are, crying and yelling won't change anything now. Then I took a deep breath and let everything out. So this didn't happen to just any innocent person. It was personal. Helen was trying to hurt me by messing with my car's brake oil. She wanted to scare or harm me, but she ended up crashing with you two in the car instead. I'm the real victim here. And yet, while you were in the hospital, instead of saying sorry or explaining anything, you blamed me. You treated me like I was the one who caused the accident. My voice started to shake with emotion, but I didn't stop. I might have been willing to forgive you both if you had just told me the truth and showed even a little bit of regret. But you didn't. You made me feel small. You made me feel like I had to carry all the guilt. Then I paused for a moment before delivering the final truth. Remember those divorce papers we signed right after we got married, just in case? I never thought I'd actually use them. But today, I did. I filed for divorce. It's done. We're no longer married. Goodbye. After saying everything I had held inside for so long, I turned and left the quiet, dark hospital room. As I walked away, I finally felt a sense of peace. I had spoken my truth. My mother, though, was deeply shocked by everything she had just heard. She was heartbroken, not only because of my sister's betrayal, but also because she now had to take care of her injured daughter alone. She never imagined her family would come to this, but the truth had to come out. And I was finally free. I had completely cut ties with both Adam and my sister Rachel. I knew I couldn't just leave everything to my mother. She was already tired and stressed, trying to manage everything on her own. So, I decided to speak to the woman who had caused the car accident. I apologized for the situation and asked her kindly if she could offer some compensation to help my sister. I hoped this would take some pressure off my mother's shoulders. Now, 1 year have passed, Adam and I are officially divorced, and I live by myself. Our divorce shocked my coworkers. They had always thought we were a close and happy couple. After the news spread, many of my male colleagues began talking to me more and asking for advice. At first, I thought it was just a phase where some men find divorced women more interesting or mature. But in my heart, I was still not over Adam. I couldn't bring myself to start a new relationship. I just wasn't ready. Instead of focusing on dating, I put all my energy into my career. I studied hard and took a difficult certification exam. I also enrolled in an online business school that I could attend in the evenings after work. I never imagined I'd take this path. Back when I was married, I had no interest in building a career like my sister had. But now here I am, working hard, studying, and aiming for a strong future of my own. Life really does surprise you sometimes. As for Adam, he moved back in with his parents. But they don't treat him kindly anymore. They see him as a burden. His relatives talk behind his back and blame him for everything that happened, especially how badly he treated me. I've heard that he's struggling with his mental health, often acting out and making life difficult for everyone around him. My sister Rachel also moved back in with our parents, but she became even more selfish and mentally unstable. My mother couldn't handle it anymore. She used Rachel's savings and the money from the accident compensation to place her in a care home. Before making that decision, she talked to me. I told her to do whatever she thought was right. I didn't object at all. Sometimes I think about how lucky I was to see the truth in time. If I hadn't figured it all out, I might still be stuck taking care of both of them. That life would have drained me, and I never wanted that. Now I've passed my certification exam and got promoted to a department where I can use my new skills. I also became close to one of my teachers from business school. And now, we're getting married. He's not only kind to everyone, but he's incredibly kind to me. When I come home late from work, he cooks dinner and waits for me. These little things bring me so much joy. I finally feel at peace and happy with the life I've built.